The morale wasn't great. And what I didn't know was I was waiting for the doctor to tell the team that he sold the crack.
Oh, no.
And the new owner's coming. Here she comes.
That's jarring.
Well, I go in and I see all these women who have worked with the doctor for years, and they feel betrayed.
All dentists know the common career paths, but how do you know which path is right for you, and are there other options out there?
On this podcast, we will be chatting with industry experts. We want to bring you the knowledge and resources you need to take your career to the next level and break down those industry secrets interview by interview.
We are here to ignite a revolution in the dental landscape
and help you, the dentist, build the career you have always wanted.
I'm Dr. Cassidy Reeder.
I'm Carter Frank.
And welcome to the Revolution Dentistry Podcast. I'm Dr. Cassidy Reeder here with my co-host Carter Frank. This is the Revolution Dentistry Podcast, where we help you with strategies to build lasting success for yourself and your family. Today we have with us Kirby Arnold. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kirby.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing a true expert in the field of dental practice management. As the principal owner of Cornerstone Practice Solutions, Kirby has a remarkable track record for scaling operations to over 300 dental practices, making her a leading authority in the industry. Kirby specializes in a variety of critical areas that are essential for any dental practice looking to thrive. She excels in staffing and recruitment, building high-performing teams that prioritize exceptional patient care. With a keen eye for operational efficiency, she streamlines processes to maximize both productivity and profitability. Within the realm of HR management, Kirby ensures compliance, resolves conflicts, and fosters a positive work environment that empowers staff. Her expertise doesn't stop there. She is also passionate about leadership development, coaching, and mentoring teams to unlock their full potential. Kirby's top skills include strategic planning, mergers and acquisitions, growth strategies, revenue analysis, and operations management. Whether you're a single location practice looking to expand or a multi-office group aiming for operational optimization, you'll want to hear what Kirby has to share today. Welcome, Kirby.
Thank you so much. I'm a little red in the face. It's different hearing about yourself.
Well, you deserve it.
So Kirby, can you share a little bit about how your journey into the dental industry began and how you've gained so much knowledge and experience in the practice management side?
Absolutely. I think my journey in dentistry began by the need to pay my bills right out of college. You go to school and you think everything's going to be roses and sunshine. And a doctor said, "Hey, I have a job for you." And back in the day when I started, people were just starting to wear gloves, and we had spittoons, and your role as in the practice was not what it is now. Now it's high tech and very talented and very skilled. And I just got to seat Mrs. Jones and say, "May I take your coat, Mrs. Jones?" But I then became very much what we call in love with dentistry and the people of dentistry. I immediately fell in love with the clinical side of dentistry and worked hard and learned a lot and became an EFTA, and then realized that transitioning into other fields like ortho and surgery and implants were where I wanted to go. But my career took an unexpected change when I was in a practice. The doctor's wife worked in the practice, and she really made sure that was a tight run ship. Doctor said to me, "Can you go up front? Mrs. Finley really likes working with you. We need you to go up front." Perfect. I still had bills. It didn't matter where I sat in the practice. I was happy to be there with the team and the patients. And I was allowed to answer the phone and put it on hold for her. I was allowed to tell Mrs. Jones, "We'll be right with you." And then I got to walk Mrs. Jones to the operatory. That was my whole job. And then Mrs. Finley got sick. And so suddenly I was just thrust right into her role and was supposed to know it all. And I began developing this deeper appreciation for basically thinking that everybody at the front desk just sat there and said, "Thank you for coming today, Mrs. Jones." Practice operations is very different than just being a practice in the old days where it was truly, "Thank you for coming, Mrs. Jones." And insurance was simple and workflow was whatever you made it. But getting a deeper appreciation for both management and patient care combined an experience with what I had already learned helped me develop this holistic approach to practice management over the years. And I've carried that throughout my career, but I did not have the skills I have today until I went to work for a large DSO who specializes in education and training and culture. And I really got my MDA working for that large DSO. So the journey has been very all-encompassing, from a clinical journey, from just smiling and seating the patient, to truly becoming specialized and becoming a level 3 therapist in California, to whatever workflow needed to be adapted, but making sure that at the same time we're patient and team focused.
Absolutely. And, you bring up a really, you opened up my segue to the next question, actually. So if you guys know anything about Kirby, it's that she is one of the most kind-hearted people I've ever met. She cares so very deeply about people and works tirelessly to make sure that both the staff and patients are well taken care of in every single practice that her team manages. Kirby, can you share with us your person-first approach to practice management and why that philosophy is so vital to your success?
Thank you for saying that, Dr. Reeder. It means a lot to me.
She didn't pay me, you guys. I promise you, she's one of the nicest people I've ever met. Sorry, continue.
It's okay. It means a lot to me. It's something I'm very passionate about. The people-first, people-focused approach stems from a belief in that our teams and our patients are the heart of our successful business. We won't be successful without our team, and we won't be successful without our patients. And so when our teams feel valued and supported, then they're going to give their best to the patient. And when the patients likewise feel the same, they're going to give the best to the community about what we're delivering. And then for me personally, it's about listening. It's about creating a clear path to growth. It's about celebrating the wins, no matter how small. But all in all, everything we do should start with empathy for one another and the experiences that we are about to have, but the historical path that got us there so that we can achieve sustainable results.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So if we dig into that a little bit more, you're very passionate about patient-centric operations, and I believe they're very essential in the dental field. Can you discuss some specific ways you've streamlined the patient experience in the practices you've managed?
Yes, absolutely. I believe that one of the key ways to streamline the patient experience is through technology. It reduces time. It improves communication. You think about online scheduling and text reminders, what that has done for our industry as we've adapted those into our front desk's workflow and our clinical providers' workflow of just being able to text someone, your prescription has been sent, right? Then Kirby can jump up and go to Publix and pick up her prescription instead of wondering until 5 p.m., did it go? Right? Am I there? So technology, in my mind, is the way that we are going to create a patient experience, but also create a streamlined workflow, providing our teams an ability to have more fun, create consistency in their day. When you know what to expect, there's no chaos. Chaos creates concern, which creates fear. And if we can remove that, we're winning for our teams, our patients. Every part of our business is well cared for. But that allows us to implement and prioritize the patient over administrative tasks, like pre-appointment verifications, post-visit follow-ups, like I just mentioned for prescriptions. It makes it seamless so our patients can focus on what they need, but we can focus on their care and not the logistics of their visit.
That's incredible. I feel like, you've mentioned some incredible things that I feel really make a difference when streamlining the patient experience. Like you mentioned, patients not having to worry about, is my prescription sent in? You already have that notification. Patients, getting notifications leading up to the appointment consistently, and I'm one of those types of patients that need that. And I mean, sometimes I forget to put something in my calendar, or sometimes, you know, my mind's got a million other things that it's juggling, and I'm a busy person. So having those text reminders has saved
Yes.
me in so many different ways, not only for dental appointments, but for a haircut appointment or for whatever. So, you know, I totally agree with that efficiency. So,
Yeah.
you know, leading into the next question, operational efficiency is a key focus of your practice management approach. I know that. So, what are some common inefficiencies you've identified in dental offices, and how can they be addressed?
So, one of the common inefficiencies that I've experienced over the years is I can walk into an office and look at the front desk, and I can quickly tell you what's going on. Standardized process is often lost in the bottle and the billing and the scheduling of a practice. That creates bottlenecks.
Hmm.
Ensuring that there is a clear workflow and ensuring every team member understands the impact of their role in the patient experience allows that buy-in. But it also means when we have those bottlenecks that we're underutilizing technology. Many practices don't take full advantage of the current software that they have and the
Hmm.
capabilities within it. And then we look at, is it a training need? Does the staff need tools and training so that they can save hours of time, but then be able to spend that with the patient? Poor
Hmm.
communication, clinical administrative teams, do they need to change something or grow learning? Regular huddles and cross training, in my opinion, bring a lot of the inefficiencies that teams are experiencing, which ultimately
Hmm.
cause strain on their day.
Hmm.
It brings that into focus,
Hmm.
allowing us to create this transparency around the lack of standardized needs. And it brings the team all together so that it's a conversation of here's where we are, where do we want to go, and then what's the journey need to look like to get there. And
Right.
then everyone is bought in. So they're no longer inefficiencies, they're opportunities.
Hmm. Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you emphasize the importance of data-driven decisions, right? What are the
Mm-hmm.
most what are the most key performance indicators you recommend dental practices to keep track of to measure their success?
You know, that is such a really simple question. If you're talking about just traditional KPIs, right? We're looking at a dashboard, and at some point in everyone's office, they've talked about KPIs: schedule,
Hmm.
produce, collect. But ultimately, those are the drivers for patient retention. The number
Hmm.
one reason a patient leaves an office is because the front desk can't get their bill right. They
Mm.
messed with their money. It's a big decision to go to
Interesting.
the dentist and pay their bill. So let's look at patient retention first, right? Are we
Yeah. Yeah.
schedule, produce, collect? Those go without saying. But when we're talking about retention, we're talking about patients reappoint in whether hygiene or doctor. And then did they come back? What's the efficiency of that reappointment? And then let's take it back a little bit further and talk about case acceptance for our
Mm.
reappointing patients and our new patients.
Hmm.
Um, those are going to give you a really clear picture: produce, collect, patient retention, and case acceptance of what's happening in your practice,
Hmm.
whether your marketing dollars are working, whether your team's workflow is working, and whether the patient experience is delivering the results that it needs to deliver. So for me, those are the big ones. And then you have things in hygiene. You're tracking the reappointment and the no-show and all of the traditional standard
Hmm.
KPIs that everyone tracks. But what's more important is when you go into a practice and they don't track anything, right?
Right.
Acquired multiple practices, been a part of transitions where you go in and they say to us right away, are you going to make us talk about numbers? Okay, tell me more about that, right? And so helping a team understand that it's not about the number, but if you can tell me another way that you can measure the experience our patients are having that is not a number, I'm all in.
Right.
But as an industry, we're starting to create these normal standards of care among ourselves where we can track the experience. And unfortunately or fortunately, that's with a number. And so
Right.
ensuring that we're growing and improving, utilizing those KPIs, and is having everyone buy into what's important.
Wow. I feel like I'm going to bring it back for a second, right?
Okay.
So a lot of doctors, a lot of dentists who own these offices, they're a little scared. I feel like there's a lot of they're really timid, unsure about bringing on a team, an external team, right? And I know that you more than anybody has run into this. Owning Cornerstone Practice Solutions, this incredible organization that helps with practice management. So, a lot of these dentists, they think about, okay, well, what's going to happen? Like, are they going to come in? Are they going to uproot just everything that I've worked so hard to put in place? This is my baby. How are they going to treat it? Are they going to treat my staff properly? Like, are they going to, let people go, or, how do I bring that up to them that I'm bringing someone else in to help me with all these things? Whereas a dentist expands from one location to 2 to 3 to 4, he needs help, right? Or she needs help to manage all of these practices. And that's another sore topic that someone's like, well, I would love to expand, but I can't keep wearing this hat across another practice because I can barely manage it with one. So then, but there's that people can be so afraid of that step, of that transition. What would you say to somebody like that, who's got those concerns and is too timid at the moment or untrusting?
I would say first and foremost, that's completely expected.
Mm-hmm.
The unknown is very scary. I think about the first time I hiked up a mountain and the first time I went deep sea fishing, right? I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
do this. I hope I don't get caught by a hook. But as soon as you have a vision, a path mapped out, and
Mm-hmm.
alignment through communication, you do what? You remove the chaos, you remove the unknown, and you clear away the confusion. So then everybody gets on this place. And I'm not saying it's perfect, right? So I'm a part owner in 10 practices with some partners of mine also. And we
Mm-hmm.
acquired them in a very quick, intentional time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And every acquisition was a little bit different of when the doctor told the team that we were coming, when and what the presentation looked like, so that the team had as much or as little information as they needed. Clear communication and alignment and goals do a lot to remove the chaos, which removes the noise and allows everyone to feel heard.
Mm-hmm.
Being heard, having goals, communication, and then once you get past that initial stage of, I don't know what I don't know, we use regular team meetings and one-on-ones to make sure
Mm-hmm.
everyone continues to feel heard. An example I would say that stands out to me is an office that we acquired, and the morale wasn't great and was less good when we came in.
Oh no.
They just felt trampled on. They didn't. I literally sat in the car out waiting to go in, and what I didn't know was I was waiting for the doctor to tell the team that he sold the practice.
Oh no.
And the new owner's coming. Here she comes.
Oh my gosh. That's jarring.
Oh,
That's jarring.
Well, I go in and I see all these women who have worked with the doctor for years, and they feel betrayed and they feel as though they've done something wrong. And so creating a place where that everyone can be heard, share their feelings and their thoughts and what they love about this practice. It's kind of like walking through the losses and gains of us being there and not being there. You kind of have to take a step back and assess where everyone is right now, and then map out where we want to be in 30 days. Lean in on those relationships that you're about to build and celebrate those milestones. So within just a short months, the patient satisfaction scores in the practice went up. The overall happiness of the team, one of the team members who had planned to leave just called me and said, I'd really like to come on full time when you have a full-time position available. She's a hygienist and she was working part-time because she didn't know we offered benefits and a 401k and some PTO, of which they'd never had before. Those types of benefits that were clear and mapped out and not at doctor's discretion. And once she got to know us and realized, okay, wait a minute, we're not just a number. And I would love to work here full time. So
Wow.
just kind of recap, right? Overcoming the fear, whether it's you're going to go in and consult with a client or it's an acquisition, is about, we have to remain people focused.
Mm-hmm.
It is about emotions. It is about communication, goals, alignment, but moreover, setting those team meetings and those one-on-ones to keep that pulse so the morale and the communication is clear. And we're not always perfect. Don't get me wrong. Like there have been times where, shoot, that was my fault. Dang it. I got way in front of my skis on that one and thought I had it and did it, right? But it goes back to originally being people and patient centric, allows for the relationships to be built, knowing they're not in existence. It's very fearful. This is people's livelihood. This is not a game. This is not something you can plug people in and out. And I'm going to go with this management company or this management company, or I'm going to sell, or I'm not. Like when we change one thing as an operational leader or owner, it affects our team in 5 ways. And so we have to take a moment and map out how it's going to look for them, because they can't see the journey. We have to remember we have some really amazingly intelligent, beautiful people on our team, but they're usually siloed in their seat and not thinking like an owner or thinking like a hygienist or thinking about how is this going to, all they want to know is how is this going to affect me and our patients? Mapping that picture out for them and riding alongside of them to give them the energy and the effort they deserve is what's key in that, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And another challenging aspect for dental practices is financial management, managing your overhead and managing your accounts receivable. So what advice do you have for practices looking to improve their collections and manage their overhead effectively?
Well, my first piece of advice is to tighten up on your billing and collections process.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, there we go. But what I mean by that is every claim should be accurate and followed up on promptly. Ensuring that you're setting aside time to talk about where we're at regularly. And then who's doing it? Do they have the time carved out to be successful there? Oftentimes we have 14 things happening at the front desk, and we expect that Susie, who checks patients out all day, is the one that follows up on the claims. And then we wonder why Susie is like, if Susie's like that, guess what? We're not collecting at the level of which we should, because Susie just doesn't have the time. She's focused on the patients as they come in and out of the practice. So my first piece of advice would be to tighten up your billing, tighten up your collections process, and ensure that they're followed up on by talking about it at your huddle and allowing Susie the time she needs, or a designated person to carve out focus time so that they can follow up if there's something missing. But ultimately, it goes back to, are we getting the information right up front? Because accurate information is what provides true billing. So, you start with the end in mind. I want to collect this money, then build the path and the process that Susie's able to follow and delegate as needed, and you will get it done. You'll get it right. Collections will be on point, and the team's happiness will be at a level that supports it continuing to grow.
Absolutely. And we bring it back to, I think a lot of these topics that you're mentioning come down to alignment, right? And the type of leadership style that dentists are using whenever they're running their practices or trying to delegate. So, team alignment leadership, they're crucial for any office, any organization. What strategies do you use to ensure that your teams are aligned and working towards common goals? So like the teams that, or the staff and the practices that you manage are aligned and are working towards common goals. Can you share an example of how you've coached a team to achieve, their full potential?
Common goals achieve success. And I love when every group that I'm a part of sits down at the end of the year, and I don't love to wait till the first of the year, but last quarter of the year, we're almost done with this year. We can make an impact in these 3 ways, but now let's put it over there and let's let our hard work this year do its job. But let's talk about next year. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the rear view mirror and the windshield moment, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let's look through the windshield. And if you could paint the journey in front of you, knowing what the rear view mirror looks like, what does our new journey look like? Everybody's on the bus. Let's go. And so what's important, what worked, what didn't work, and create those alignment goals for everyone in the practice to have a personal and a professional goal
Mm-hmm.
that affects the practice positively.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to the original comment earlier about acquisitions. There's losses and gains in every single thing we do.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to eat this brownie or am I not? There's the loss and the gain right there. It's so clear, right?
Yeah.
But we oftentimes as humans we just forge forward. We don't stop to look at what are we doing? What are we trying to achieve? And how are we going to get there?
Mm-hmm.
We have to map that out. But if we say, what are our goals? So this year we did 1.5. Next year we want to do 2. Perfect. That's the end. Now let's create the road. And
Right.
who do we need on the bus to get us there? Is our structure right?
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone in the right role and responsibility to achieve this?
Mm-hmm.
And what did we miss last year? Did we hit our goal? And if we did, great. Repeat what we did well, and then let's add to it. So to your point, aligning goals and expectations, but it has to be documented.
Okay.
We just assume if we talked about it, that it's good.
Right.
Kirby's going to every day. Kirby talked about getting on the scale and riding her bike for, an hour. And she talked about it. Kirby, did you ride your bike today? No, I didn't get it done. Kirby,
wasn't
did
written
you call
down.
Mrs. Jones? No, I didn't get it done. Kirby, did you, right?
Yeah.
It has to be documented. We have to follow up on it. We need to encourage and lift each other up to be in a place of trust where we can say, Kirby, you said you were going to do whatever it was. You were not going to eat that brownie. And you did. What happened? What happened? So just it's goals, clear goals and expectations that are documented and followed up on so that every team member knows what their part in the journey is. Because if we don't do that, we're not people focused. We are goal focused.
Followed up on, would you say weekly, daily? I mean, for certain goals, I bet there's a different time frame for each, right?
Yes. So having team meetings, some offices are so well established and perform really well together, and they've worked on some pattern of goal alignment, and they will host a team meeting monthly, but department meetings intermittently, one-on-ones, or front desk alignment meetings, hygiene alignment. And then at the month, you have an end of the month. So that's why I love the 3-department theory. There's the front desk, the dental assistants, and the hygiene team. And so having a weekly meeting with each department, and then at the end of the month, you have a team meeting where everybody talks about their successes of the month and what they've achieved in their goal strategies. And then we plan for the upcoming month and provide that follow-up.
Absolutely. Wow, that's incredible. Would you say that each one of those 3 teams have their own KPIs that they're each working on?
They do.
Different ones?
They do.
And then they can come together and, create a bigger picture of how everything looked practice-wide, using their individual KPIs. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of
hopefully
sense.
the patient journey in your practice starts at the front desk and ends at the front desk. But as they go through the practice and through the funnel of the practice, they're stopping at all places in your practice. So they're going to go to hygiene, and they're going to go to doctor, and back to front desk. And so everyone plays a part in the patient experience, and everyone should be measuring their part in the patient experience.
Absolutely.
I like that.
So you've been in the industry for a while, so you've
are you
naturally
aging
seen.
me?
No,
be careful,
no,
Carter. Be careful. Just kidding.
I better be careful here. But so naturally, you've seen a lot of practices thrive, and you've seen a lot fail, right? So, and you have a bunch of knowledge on the current trends that you are seeing in the dental industry. So what are some trends that you see, and how should practices adapt to stay competitive so that they become the ones that thrive instead of fail?
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate when you see a group or a private practice fail. Um, what I've seen as a trend is open sharing of information now. So I love that. It allows there to be a lot of platforms for information, and it allows them, particularly group practices and DSOs, to stand out from an independent office perspective and create a patient experience that is more consistent than the private practice experience and allow
Mm-hmm.
them to have a little bit of a higher competitive edge.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also believe is there's a demand for AI technology, and it's becoming more and more affordable for private practice owners from a diagnostic perspective, from a communication perspective, from a engagement perspective. It's going to allow even the smallest practice to embrace the advancements while we're keeping that personal touch in place. And it's going to align the DSO group practice perspective from a patient experience and team member wanting to be the employer of choice to the small private practice being able to stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Also allowing us to provide that same level of education and preventative care, like specialty services like implants, to continue to grow while investing and growing your practice. It'll provide that revenue, the technology, and the patient experience together. So the current trend is changing where DSOs were the only ones that were allowed to offer that stuff because they had a bigger budget. It's becoming more and more affordable for even a small practice to be able to bring that in, and groups are working together. Folks are partnering and finding some type of overarching group partnership to provide that across the board to small practices.
Absolutely. I find that, I mean, Carter and I, we're all about, helping dentists understand the importance and the opportunity that exists in group dentistry,
Mm-hmm.
right? In being a part of a dental group that can help you increase the value of your practice individually and can help you have resources to, help the practice increase its value and the patient experience more so than you could do just on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have economy of scale when you're in a larger group of other practices with like minds, with other dentists who have similar thought processes to you. So, I guess that kind of brings me to another question. So your business, Cornerstone Practice Solutions, I know that you guys and you have experience managing 300 plus, practices in your career. And I know Cornerstone Practice Solutions has that capability. They have the capability to help, larger groups, smaller groups. And from what I'm understanding, you also have the capability to help individual practices that maybe aren't a part of groups. Is that correct? Or are you guys more focused more on the group setting?
No, you're absolutely correct. Some of the most fun practices we have are a single doctor, one hygienist front desk practice, and watching them come in and say, I've done this for this many years and we just don't know how to get to the next spot. I would love to be able
Uh-huh.
to grow where I could offer these potential opportunities to our team. And nothing excites me more than sitting down with what they believe is their maximum potential practice and listening to the team, because I will tell you, I have learned more from a small family practice when you bring the team in and say, all right, guys, here's where we are. How do we get where we want to go? And we just haven't had the time to sit down and hear from the team. What they know will work, but they don't know how to implement it. They don't know how to create
Mm-hmm.
the excitement and say, oh, I would have never thought of that. Well, that's going to get us exactly where you asked us to go. Now what? And they say, oh, now let's do it. So
Right.
no, we absolutely love the group practice, and I love building DSOs. I also love small private practice because you can grow them and create a plan that's predictable once you hear from the team, oh, I've thought about that for years and I just didn't know how to help us do that. Perfect. Let me show you.
Right. I
It's
love
so
that.
fun.
I love that. And, I guess just to kind of tie things together, could you give us a scenario that would be ideal? Okay. And I'm talking, this could be for a private practice that's, got a dentist with one location, or going into a group that has multiple practices, or even a dentist who just owns multiple himself or herself. Could you go into a scenario that would be ideal where they are working with you guys now, they're working with a practice management, company like yours. And they're like, okay, how do I make sure that this transition is seamless for our patients and our staff? What needs to happen ideally for that experience to be great?
So I'm hearing you ask the question, and I'm thinking about two different scenarios. I'm thinking there are two paths here that we can talk about. The first one is, as we just discussed, that small or large group that doesn't want to go into a sale or an acquisition, and they just want to continue growing and adding. My thought process for them would be, okay, let's talk about what you want. Where do you want to go? And does your team know that? Is the first question I ask. Like, does your team know what you want to achieve? And they're like, no.
No surprises.
Beautiful. So, I think about my husband when I have those conversations, and I hear him say, oh yeah, she never mentioned that, but for some reason she thinks I'm just going to know that. And I don't think that, but doctors do sometimes, Dr. Reader.
Yeah.
We just assume that our teams know. And so
Right.
It goes back to alignment and communication. Be okay with having open, honest communication with your team about where you are from a patient perspective, meaning how long you want to provide care to your patients. Do you want to bring in an associate? Do you have a 5-year exit strategy? Like, what is it you want? And then what is the dominant motive for the decisions that you're making? And then we'll create a plan to share that with your team in a way that will resonate with them, because they clearly care about you and your patients, and have them be a part of the creation for the journey forward. It can be so many different pieces of the journey, and everyone in that journey should own a piece of it. But if you just give it to them and say, this is what we're doing, that goes nowhere fast, because it becomes that confusion and that fear. And, well, why do I have to do what she said? Because it becomes what I said or my team said, and not what doctor said. So paint the journey, doctor. Help your team see your vision. And we always start with the vision. What is your vision? Where are we going? What's the journey to get there? So that's the first part. And then from a group perspective, I'm thinking about acquisitions and group practices joining and purchasing and adding practices to a model. For that to go seamless, it takes a lot of work.
Sure.
This is about communication. There's not alignment for about 90 days, if you're lucky. There's a J curve after acquisitions that we all have to overcome. The key to the acquisition and adding or partnering or changing the model in a practice, whether any type of ownership or operational management, it's about communication and being okay with people having feelings around what is happening. They're going to have them. It doesn't matter if we like it or we don't like it. We have to be willing to listen and then provide the path forward for them based on the communication tools that we have and how it can positively affect them. And don't ever say nothing will change, because everything will change.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Everything will change. Carter, real quick, I just wanted to mention that it's incredible that, a practice management company with someone like yourself, with a team like yours, can come in to a group setting and work with not just one group, but multiple, across multiple different goals that these different groups have, the different systems that they have in place and that they want to have in place. And for someone like you to be able to come in and be like, hey, that's not a problem. You just tell us what you want and we can make it happen. And the amount of strategies that amount of systems that you guys have to balance between different groups, is really impressive. And so for you guys to be able to do that, seamlessly is really, really impressive. Just wanted to say that.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I would just say also, really, it's the teams. Systems are systems, but there's no original ideas anymore, right? We take the system. Let's talk about scheduling. What is our scheduling template? What is our scheduling protocol? What is our follow-up from an appointment, follow-up and confirmation perspective? And then what is our collections process? Those are conversations everybody has. But what we need to be willing to do when we go into a practice, whether it's an acquisition or a consulting and coaching practice, is what are you currently doing? We have to be okay with asking the team, what are they doing? Because guess what? There have been times I go into a practice and I'm like, oh, I'm stealing that for myself. Thank you so much. Right? So here's our system. You've told me yours. I want to share with you what we do. Let's compare the differences and let's make one that is exceptional just for you. So it becomes that personal touch that aligns with our plan and our journey development so that where we go, everybody's on the bus. Because if we're just given a system, you know where it sits? In Sally's drawer, and she opens it up and she takes her pen and goes, no, I'm not doing it.
That's a great point.
Well, just to wrap up here, last question. For those listening who are eager to take their dental practice to the next level, what is your top piece of advice for them to start implementing today?
Start with your team. That's my top piece of advice. Invest in their development. Create a culture of collaboration and accountability. If you invest in your team, they'll feel supported and aligned, and everything else, patient care, financial performance, and operational efficiency all falls into place. Beyond that, I would say leverage the data to identify your opportunities for growth and create a plan with measurables and milestones along the way. The smallest little change can create some consistency and improvement, ultimately driving results that drive team and patient happiness.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much. Kirby, this has been an incredible time, that we've had here with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, sharing your stories and your, passion for dentistry with us, and passion for culture and practice management, and making sure that teams and people are taken care of. And I think, and we could all agree that is the most important thing, that we focus on making sure that our people are happy. Because when our people are happy, it makes every single other step of the way much more enjoyable and feasible to achieve. Are there any other?
My little nephew says, "Be kind, Aunt Kirby. Remember, be kind." And I think it's really genuinely, you only have to be kind and listen, and we can all get where we're headed.
Yes, I agree. I think with that, last recommendation of yours, I'd like to ask if there's any way that someone could reach out to you if they had questions about practice management, or were seeking advice, or were wanting to learn more about Cornerstone Practice Solutions.
Yes, absolutely. Our team is all in a shared email box, so no one will go unanswered if they reach out, and it is admin@cspracticesolutions.com. And then, of course, I can give you directly my phone number if anyone reaches out to you directly, and you can put them directly in touch with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirby. And we'll have Carter close us out.
Thanks for tuning in to the Revolution Dentistry Podcast. If you're finding value here, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We are here every week to help you grow. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See you guys later.